So I want to thank you guys for taking time out to do the Art of Fearlessly Giving Back interview. I want to give you guys all a chance to introduce yourselves and tell us what your role is here at WebPT.
So I'll go first. I'm Rick Farr. I'm responsible for operations, which means all of our customer-facing teams.
Awesome.
Outside of sales.
I'm Ted Stokes, and I lead our revenue cycle management team, so billing services.
Russell Olson, I lead innovation and product management.
Awesome. So I'm going to just get right into the questions today. And so you guys are all rock stars. I can tell just by looking at you. And you really could work anywhere. So why work for WebPT?
For me, it started with the people and the interview process, meeting Heidi, and then meeting some of the people in the other departments. That transformed into culture because I could see the enthusiasm that everybody shared. Then coming into the organization, understanding all the core values, I could see through that interview process why I was so attracted to the organization. And I think once getting to the organization and spending a little time, it really became a mission to be able to change the physical therapy industry.
That's very cool. That's something I've heard across the board in all of the leadership interviews with WebPT, that once you got into the interview process, you really became a mission to change, to be an innovator in the whole PT world. So it's very cool.
Well, very like-minded people.
That's awesome. How about you guys? Because you guys are new. You just kind of came on here as relatively new, right, Russell?
Yeah, so I started back in June, and
welcome to Arizona.
Yeah, nice and hot.
He's hot. Yeah.
No, I think for me, it was a rare find to find an organization that had such an emphasis on culture and had values embedded that were not just surface, paper, what was, on the website, then didn't really penetrate. But as I got in through my interview process, I could tell it was really ran to the core. So not only do you have that, great company and team, but you also have a lot of good opportunity. So being kind of a dominant player in the industry, having lots of opportunity to go in and change and make things better, and having the breadth to have that impact. So it's kind of the confluence of a great team, a good opportunity, and a good space in the market.
That's awesome. And you're relatively new too, right?
I did. I came in a little bit earlier in the year, around the February time frame. And I agree with Russell. I think what was interesting about WebPT was that it was a dominant player, market leader in its space. And what attracted me the most was that it did it the right way. It did it with putting its customers first, building a great culture, and if I'm going to be the customer-facing guy for the team, I want to put my own personal brand on a company that believes in putting its members first, its customers first. So for me, it just seemed like a perfect fit.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations and welcome to Arizona.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell us about the core values that we're focusing on. Possessing true grit, which I think is pretty cool, and we'll deal with that one first, and then we'll come to Be Rock Solid second. So about what's so cool about possessing true grit here at WebPT?
So I think I love the true grit, mantra here, and I think a lot of it is you have to put it in the work to make the idea work. Ideas are often cheap, but the hard part is actually doing it. And so having an emphasis, a core value on let's stick through and make it work,
right, and
see it through to the end rather than give up. And I think having that as a key emphasis just really, I think, resonates, and is how we got to where we are, right? So starting something up is not easy, and so you have to be willing to push through roadblocks and make things work.
Cool.
And again, just to kind of emphasize, I believe it starts with attitude. Being optimistic, and it permeates the organization, and I think it becomes infectious.
Yeah, I think it's easy to be an amazing company when things are going great. I think it's really hard to be an amazing company when things aren't going so well. And I think having that true grit and that ability to stay focused and kind of push forward, no matter what the consequence or what the odds, is pretty strong. And I think that's what gives us a sense of team and really kind of strengthens the culture. Actually.
Yeah, there's nothing builds a friendship like going through hell together,
That's
right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So how about being rock solid? It's kind of a similar value, but it's slightly different, right? Having true grit is kind of like rolling your sleeves up, but
Yep.
being rock solid is about showing up, right?
Showing up. Yeah, so it is showing up day in and day out. I think when times get challenging, you have to do that. We're a software company. and not everything goes well all the time. And so it's important not to only have that true grit to push through, but the work ethic associated to have the right attitude so you can get things done. So another really important part of what makes WebPT WebPT.
And through that hard work, I think there comes great satisfaction too, and pride within that job that we're working,
right.
the goals we're working towards.
Yeah, I think taking that personal ownership and then marrying it up with the team. So when the team when you have an entire team with true grit and that are rock solid, it makes it easier to have true grit and be rock solid. So it's definitely like, you're not in this alone. And so when you have those weak moments, as we all do, you've got a team there to pick you up and carry you across the finish line sometimes, and sometimes you're carrying them. And I think it feeds off each other and just makes us who we are.
That's right.
I think that there's nothing worse than going through hell and having to drag people kicking and screaming through it. It's like, right? If you're going to go through hell, you want people there kind of like, okay, we're going through hell, but we'll get through it, and
we'll do it together.
Let's just put our arms around each other and get through it. Right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm going to take a look at my notes here again and make sure that I haven't missed a question. So the charity that we're focusing on with you guys is Desert Labrador Retriever Rescue, which is kind of a cool story because Heidi had a lab when she first started the company, and so that lab has since gone to doggy heaven, right? But you guys have kept the Desert Labrador Retriever, the retriever piece, and what was his name again? His name was
Topper.
Topper, which is like kind of a cool. There's a Topper award. So I thought, okay,
Right.
you're the top, but the Topper was the name of the dog. I think that's kind of funny, right? So you've kind of kept this really lovely dog, and I have a couple Catahoula leopards at home, so I can resonate with having puppies. You've kept that dog theme and that kind of man's best friend theme in your culture. Tell us a little bit about this particular charity and how it exemplifies these two values.
Well, I think it's a great charity to be able to match up dogs or Labradors and people together. And then some of the community work that they do to be able to provide education to prevent overpopulating through spay and neutering.
Which is how I ended up with my Catahoulas, by the way. Their pregnant mother wandered into my friend's parking lot downtown, and then 3 days later had 9 puppies.
That's right.
And I got sucked in because of the pictures on Facebook, so I've got 2 of the puppies. But if somebody had, neutered that dog, then there wouldn't be that issue. And I wouldn't have my puppies.
Well, I think one of the challenges with any charity, right, is having that true grit and being rock solid. As you grow from a small little charity where it's just kind of an idea, and you start bringing on a team, you have to rely on that team and build out that team, and you have to recruit others into the cause. And so I think any charity, has to have true grit to even get started.
And they do that. I mean, it's a selfless thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. Everybody's had a dog at home, and what the requirements are to do that, but to take rescues in and to have to do that day in and day out, I mean, you have to have good work ethic, good attitude to make that happen. So, yeah, I think there's a strong alignment between what we're trying to do here and what they're trying to do, just in a different way.
Robin and I were talking on the telephone, Robin Garrett, who's the president of Desert Labrador Retriever Rescue, and they're in the process of kind of reestablishing their kind of volunteerism to make sure that no one's getting completely tapped out so that they can continue to work and be solid because they're not over tapping one person out with all the activity or just like the small mighty team that's the big heavy lifter team, right? So I'm looking forward to interviewing her next week and learning more about that. So what can you tell other companies about the benefits of being socially responsible? Because, there's a benefit for the charity because they're obviously getting a fiscal benefit and they're getting exposure and PR. But, in this particular case, you guys are dog-friendly environment. What's the benefit for WebPT of being socially responsible?
So I think the benefit is, getting back to that teamwork is kind of our theme here in this conversation. But, when you serve together, outside of your task-oriented work, you build a stronger relationship with your teammates. And so there's nothing like pitching in and serving and benefiting others that brings the team together. And I think that culture that we've created around service has helped cement our core values.
And I think also giving back is important. It's foundation that we build the organization on, and just the ethics around that. It's not just about business. It's about the community that you're conducting business in as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I think, and WebPT is a very dog-friendly place. You can walk in here and you'll see a lot of our employees that bring their pets to work.
My Catahoula's would like have like a field day in
Yes,
here. It'd be
so-
like, you'd be screaming and people running down the hallway.
And so, and there are a couple big dogs there. But I think it really makes, you know, the people that work here feel like they're a part of something a little bit bigger. And I think knowing that we're giving to something that resonates with them, and this is in a lot of different charities. WebPT plays in a lot of different areas, but this one specifically, I know it makes people feel a little bit more anxious to get up and go to work and to take the day on, knowing that we're a little bit bigger than the work that we do. It's about, you know, how we give back. It makes them feel part of something that's more than just the day-to-day what we have to do.
Well, I think that physical therapy is really, especially because I'm doing some of it right now myself, I'm really aware that it really is about being hands-on of service, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, when I had my shoulder operated on, if it wasn't for my physical therapist, I wouldn't be able to dry my hair, you know what I mean? So, like, you know, it's a big deal. So what can you tell other people about being fearless? This is a question I ask everybody. Personally, what have you learned about being fearless? You guys are just changing jobs and kind of moved you know, into a new place, and there's a lot of fear associated with making a big change like that, especially when you have, you know, little kids and critters, right, and wives at home. So tell us a little bit about the fearlessness.
So I think for me, you know, having a bias towards action tends to disseminate fear. And always in hindsight, you look back and you're like, it really wasn't that fearful, or it wasn't that much to be scared about. And so I think having that bias towards action, being willing to take that first step, you realize it isn't as bad as you might seem. And then being willing to learn from your mistakes really takes the edge off of fear for me.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I would just say that the most important, most wonderful things that have happened both in my career and in my life all happened because I wasn't held back by fear. You have to be a little fearless to kind of push through and to take, you know, to pick up your family, move them here to join a company and a culture. There's, you know, there absolutely could be some fear associated with that, but it's been one of the best decisions I've made. So I think it's getting past what holds you back lets great things happen. That's where the real journey, I think, starts. Is when you
I think
get
there's
past
a
that
great
fear.
quote about that, like everything worth doing is on the other side of fear, right?
That's right.
Right.
No, and I would agree with that too, just even personally and professionally. I think fear limits your risk-taking and the ability to take risks. And taking those risks really, it moves you forward personally or professionally. And some of those are the greatest accomplishments personally that I can think of.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you taking time out to have this conversation with me. I look forward to seeing you. Our opening is moved to February 16th of 2018. We're going to let people know where the location is. We're hoping it will be at one of our charity partners' locations, but that's kind of will be announced later. So thanks so much for taking time out, and I hope you have a really awesome day. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right,
having me.
thank you.
Thanks.